I want to ask you that I was just listening to his speech. Of course, he's a great orator, he's trained to be one. But what does he want to say? Does he want to be the Home Minister? Does he want to balance it out? Because both Tirupati and Kadapa have been awful crimes against women. There was also one case of a tribal woman. I remember Naidu promising that no tribal woman would ever have to be carried in a dolly, in a kind of a makeshift thing for her medical procedures. But yet again, it happened. Some things you perhaps can't help. But what is Mr. Pawan Kalyan trying to do, Mr. Prasad?
Good evening, ma'am, and good evening to the viewers and good evening to the co-panelists. Ma'am, as far as Pawan Kalyan becoming a deputy CM, it's a honorary post as far as deputy is the word which was added. Other than that, he's nothing but a cabinet minister. And he passed a remarkable comments on a colleague, happened to be another cabinet minister. She is also a Dalit Home Minister. And surprisingly, he is addressing the entire public, stating very clearly, if I've been in the shoes of Home Minister, things would have been something else. The helpless situation of a respective Home Minister, unfortunately, the law and order falls under Chief Minister, and GAD, the General Administration, is also falls under respective Chief Minister. And DGP, unfortunately, 16 plus Superintendent of Police and IG level officers have been under DGP office. And in a clueless situation, which was separated as far as state is concerned with the 13 districts, and all the hierarchies have been in the GAD and as well as DGP office, and expecting law and order with wonders and miracles, quite impossible. That's what is exactly happening from the last 4.5 months as far as the Andhra Pradesh is concerned. In a clueless situation, the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, is also expressed his difficulty coping up with the respective team as far as his cabinet and ministers are concerned since the floods. That time itself, he has addressed it categorically to the Nathan Manohar and other colleagues also. He expressed his difficulty that they are not coping up and they are not helping. And in yesterday's incident also, one of the ministers has been got a huge private class from Chandrababu Naidu stating that he's not expecting his limits and he's crossing his limits and is not working as per his expectations. In this scenario, this particular incidents against women and children, which was happening more than 90 plus cases as far as Andhra Pradesh is concerned, the silence was made by Pawan Kalyan from last 4.5 months. All of a sudden, the accumulation and the pressure in the recent past, also one of the incident, one of the women got protested in front of his car, stating that my daughter itself is a victim and I need justice. That time, he has smartly escaped from that situation. He's not even addressed. And yesterday, in the huge crowd, there are a lot of bombarding which has come. So suddenly he started and he showed his frustration, stated very clearly that as far as police authorities are concerned, they are not working. Intelligence is totally failure. The total accumulation is coming onto our head, and we are really not in a position to give answers to the people around.
All right. Okay.
And in this particular scenario, instead of addressing the respective chief minister who is having law and order, he smartly taken a shortcut of addressing Anitha ma'am as if she is under the law and order is under her control. And unfortunately, she's just passing her things, going to respective victims and hand over the checks and giving some condolences to the people. Other than that, she's not doing anything.
Yeah, so you say she's not doing anything.
He has also forgotten that, ma'am. One more minute, if you don't mind. He is also forgotten that he don't have the discretion to take according to his whims and fancies as far as Home Minister is concerned, which has been allocated by the respective Chief Minister. And even after, he has a deputy.
So that's why, yeah. So I get you. So you're saying it's inefficient government. You're saying he's just saying it, and also for impact, for effect. And you said that the Chandrababu Naidu has actually, seen to it that Anitha is the Home Minister. So maybe he's speaking out of turn. Pawan Kalyan is now plain and simple, because hearing his speech, there was frustration written all over his face and also angry words there. So he feels that both Tirupati and Kadapa and many other incidents, maybe the new dispensation of which your party is a major element, is not doing due diligence, sir.
Sudha, Sadhanand, good evening, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Basically, he wants to empower the Home Minister. He wants her to be more aggressive. There are two ways of doing things, doing things in a systematic way slowly, or aggressively overnight. So he wanted something like Yogi Adityanath as far as the crime against women and children are concerned. It should be like Yogi Adityanath. Our role model should be Yogi Adityanath. It should be very stern. And he told the Home Minister to be firm and dealt them with a very firm fist, with an iron fist. So actually, after this, she had a meeting, a press conference, and also DGP had a press conference, and both of them said never said anything against what Pawan Kalyan said, and what they said is it is we are doing our best, and we have to equip ourselves a little more, because what's happening is he also said one more thing. We have to discuss this in the assembly and bring the changes in the law if needed, because our law, the police cannot bypass the law and do certain things. So though they know he is the culprit, he did it, they want a proof, and proofs will not be available at that time, so they can't arrest them or they can't punish them, something like that. So
Should
Pawan
not
Kalyan just
become,
said,
he said, caste should not become an issue when we are solving a crime. That's also
yes,
something that he said very importantly. But Mr. Satyanarayana Bolisetti, my question to you is, there is something called coalition dharma. He always called Chandrababu Naidu his older brother, Annaya, Annagaru, whatever he calls him. I mean, basically, as someone who's an elder. Don't you think it is out of turn for him? I mean, why should you don't? I'm a woman. You don't empower me by scolding me in public. You empower me by giving me more powers, Satyagaru. How can you empower me by saying before everyone, hey, you do your work properly? That is not done. That is patriarchy, sir.
No. Actually, whatever you think, he said very clearly. People understood, and the concerned minister understood, and DGP understood. All of he wanted to tell the YCP people, goons who are actually trying to do certain mischiefs, and because they wanted now. Jagan Mohan Reddy also tweeted that you are trying to suppress the voices against women and voices against this thing. See, it is actually Anitha herself said, the Home Minister herself said, I am getting very nasty messages, and I can't even forward them to my subordinates to take action. Social media threats and the threats abusing on abusive language which they are using. So what Mr. Pawan Kalyan said is just to deal with them very firmly. Don't even think about
Babu,
anything else.
okay, sir, I understand. Why is Babu quiet then? Why hasn't Babu spoken to Anita?
Babu also said several times, not only once, with all the ministers. He is telling, I will not spare anyone who is going to indulge in sand or liquor or anything. Don't take
Yeah, that's
anything
all right.
seriously.
Yeah.
This government
Okay.
is different. This
Okay.
government is different. He said, I'm not like I'm like 1995 Chandrababu Naidu. He's
Okay.
not. He's also saying. He's also telling all the. See, basically, I would like to say one thing, Sudhaji, through media. See, actually, most of the officers who have been in 5 years, they have been doing different things in a different way, whims and fancies. And suddenly, you have to use the existing system. You have to, because 4 months is too short a period to give the jolts to all the people and put them in order. It's like Shashanji did during his time of election commissioner. Like
Yeah.
that, he wanted this lady to be very
Yeah,
firm.
but
That's
but
all.
but but South is very different from Uttar Pradesh, sir. I live in I mean, I work in Uttar Pradesh. There is no comparison, and I hope you would have a more an example which is closer home. Let me get Mr. Prasad on the screen. Mr. Prasad, do you see this as the first breach in the alliance, as it were? Some people are reading it that way, that I will assert myself, I am a power star, I was also there, you won because of me, you were in prison, I was the one who went and campaigned, etc., etc., etc.
Yes, ma'am, you are 100% right, because it's a breach of trust. Being a cabinet minister, and he has simply blamed another cabinet colleague as if he is smart enough than Anitha ma'am. And quite unfortunately, if you really recollect, some couple of cabinet meetings were taken place. This is not at all a table subject as far as law and order concerned. They have not even bothered to discuss about particular incidences which were chronically happened from since their swearing ceremony. And for your information, ma'am, his close cluster colleague, Mr. Nathan Manohar's constituency, recently one woman is being stabbed by Telugu Desam party worker, and she has miserably died. That time also he is not even bothered to give his condolences to the respective place. And in his own constituency, a girl which was murdered brutally and raped he doesn't even bother to show his condolences. Today, the accumulation which was taken place on his head, he has smartly taken all sort of excuses by giving as if some sort of warnings to Anitha ma'am. It is instead of talking in a louder voice to the chief minister, he has taken smart excuses like our fellow colleague Mr. Bolisetti has taken the excuses. He's saying all sort of narrations because they are a bombarding media. They are doing all sort of favors to Janasena and Telugu Desam in the Telugu media. That's why they're taking all sort of excuses. But if you really look into it, he has simply blamed Chandrababu Naidu because who is holding the land order. It is a miserable failure from the last 4.5 months, and there is no control as far as land order situations are concerned, for which he smartly blamed Anitha ma'am, and he has taken all sort of excuses. Being a cabinet colleague, how can he give a louder voice to her? That's what you uttered right before giving a choice, giving an opportunity to me. This was really taken place, and it is need to be condemned. And as far as cabinet colleagues, they need to give proper respect. And it is not a cinema that there are Telugu movies. The hero enters, becomes a home minister, and he enters into all portfolios and he acts smartly. These sort of things in practical lives and in democracy, which will not happen. That he needs to understand, and he needs to understand his own territories. He is really carrying a lot of frustration. Tirupati Laddu, it is boomeranged on his head, and he has taken Saraswati project's lands that also boomeranged on his head. Being a Paryatak Sak minister, forest minister has gone into the territories, and he has not found even a single thing. These accumulations which was taken place on his head, and he doesn't have any excuses. Now he is smartly, and every time he takes excuses. Last time, and Laddu comes, he has taken Sanatan Dharma. Today, Saraswati project comes, he's switching over his situation to Home Ministry.
Right, okay.
This is what the smart excuses he's taking. And he is in democracy, he is chosen by the people around, and he needs to work on his ground, and he needs to work on his territory.
Okay.
To focus more on his constituency.
Yes.
When certain things are taking place in constituency, he doesn't even bother to give a condolences to the people. Now he's taking all sort of excuses on Home Minister.
All right, Mr.
This
Prasad.
needs to be corrected. Today, DGP has given categorical answers.
Okay.
We are not. We are law-abiding officers under the democracy of constituency, not for the people around.
All right.
And there are illusions.
Okay, let me get Satya Garu. Yeah, also let me get Satya Garu. Satya Garu, you know, much like you criticized the Disha app which the YSRCP regime had because it had failed, according to you, in giving security to the women of Andhra Pradesh. Why not do something proactive rather than publicly, you know, berating a fellow colleague, a woman minister who's the home minister? Do something proactive. No, sir. If Pawan Kalyan is so worried that you please do your work, first of all, he's not the top cop. Secondly, he's not the home minister. So why should he be taking up the responsibility? He's seen as a man who saved women's honor in cinema. Let him say something which is more proactive. Would you agree, Satya Garu?
See, just now our YCP spokesperson said something. Well, basically,
Prasad, are you YCP spokesperson? Prasad?
This is another smart excuse what they'll take on me.
All right.
Okay. But no, you look at these videos, you'll understand which party he belongs to. Finish. That's we will talk separately. Because I only consider him as YCP only. I don't consider him as anything else.
Another excuse what they'll take on me.
He said forest minister. He said forest minister, environment and forest is also under Pawan Kalyanji, number one, as far as Saraswati power is concerned. Saraswati power is completely messed up because 15 years back, they took the land to build a cement plant, nothing is built, and they're struggling, fighting brother and sister, fighting for that property, which actually belongs to the people, and some thing belongs to the forest and some is assigned land. He went and gave all the clarification on the details. With the details is given. See, Sudhaji, I'll tell you one thing today, whatever Pawan Kalyan said to ensure that safety of women is a serious concern for all of us. And I don't mind, even my fellow colleague is little bit lethargy. I'm going to alert her to do her job.